Okay, welcome everybody. I would like to show you this slide. I think this is the main reason why we are here today. This is the growth we encountered the last 4 years with Amazon globally. And basically, based on what we discussed already this morning, it seems this is only the beginning. The meeting purpose, or the whole trip's purpose, is really to get acquainted for Amazon with Keta and for Keta with Amazon. So this is the reason why I asked Peter and Anatoly to present Amazon to us, and I'm glad you have accepted.
I might not be, now it's on camera.
On record. Now it's all on record.
Does it disturb you? If it does,
No, not at all, not at all.
So,
because in a few minutes it's in YouTube.
No, I know.
it's all internal, so don't worry about this.
No.
So the floor is yours.
Brilliant. I'll actually tell you a story before I start. We have this policy in the UK and actually worldwide in Amazon. Sorry, I should use the clicker. Of something called brown bags. Brown bags are basically learning sessions. We have lecture sessions exactly the same as this, where someone will stand up and sort of talk. So I kind of created a process which we're now using across Europe called tail vendor terms, which is basically a way of negotiating en masse with X number of thousand vendors, but creating a bespoke email ask for every single one. And I didn't realise it was going to be filmed, exactly the same scenario as this. So I turned up, I was wearing jeans, I was wearing a t-shirt, and now this video is plastered all over the internal bit of Amazon, and there's me looking like an absolute scruff bag. So hopefully I'm not too bad today. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time to come to the presentation. It's probably going to be, I mean, we've put quite a lot of work into it. There's probably an hour and a half's worth of slides here, coupled with questions on top of that as well, so lots to go at. I should first of all introduce myself. So my name is Pete. I am a category leader at Amazon. It's kind of like a category director role, I guess, is the best way of describing it. So I manage the outdoor business for Amazon. I also have Anatoly with me as well. Anatoly is the head of the supply chain team that we have at Amazon in the UK for the outdoor business. Basically, any difficult questions that you have, I will defer to Anatoly. So definitely point them his way. He's definitely the guy to look to that. So just as a starter for 10, none of this stuff is kind of highly confidential. You know, that we've not put anything in there which is going to get us into any trouble. But nonetheless, what we're going to be talking about today is, first of all, a bit about Amazon, a bit about the innovation, but also about how businesses work well on Amazon, how they can become successful. So we just ask you to keep all this stuff internal, including the video, especially now I'm on it and I haven't combed my hair properly. So when we were talking to David about how we were going to pull this together, he kind of asked us a couple of questions. But we've constructed the agenda around a couple of points. So we're going to give you a very brief history of Amazon. I mean, I'm sure you're all aware of Amazon, but it's still quite interesting, and it's certainly something that we roll out every single all hands we have, which is like a quarterly meeting, how Amazon began, and in particular where it's actually come from as well and how fast it's grown. We'll talk a bit about Amazon operations, which Anatoly will be covering. There'll be various videos included in that which will show not only what it's like in our fulfillment centers now, but what it's going to be like in our fulfillment centers in the future. I'll also then briefly talk about what makes vendors on Amazon successful. So how does a vendor get successful on Amazon? We'll talk about Keta's growth specifically, so we should go through some of the details and certainly see the opportunity. And we'll also talk how Keta can accelerate their growth on the Amazon platform using some of the marketing levers that we have available. Right, the Amazon story. So I'll kind of step back from Amazon to start off with. First of all, I think one thing that became very clear and is becoming very clear is that retail is evolving. The way that customers shop is evolving. Even 10 years ago, people were kind of advertising on television, radio, newspapers, whatever it might be. And now it's changed. So people are using their mobiles, they're using tablets, they're using laptops, whatever it might be. So business is changing and retail is changing. And actually, one of the things that came through was that e-commerce in particular was a massive opportunity. So Jeff Bezos, who was our founder, effectively saw that e-commerce offered a huge opportunity. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, customers are time poor. Increasingly time poor. So what the internet does is offer convenience. It offers convenience to customers. It allows customers to find the products they want and the breadth of selection that they want very, very quickly. So Jeff Bezos kind of jumped on this as an opportunity. And he actually started Amazon from that very house up there. So you may not know this, but basically Jeff was an investment banker, and he was a VP in an investment bank, very successful guy, very clever guy. And he saw an opportunity with online. He saw it as the kind of future opportunity for retail. So he left, he kind of picked up sticks, he went from New York, I think it was, and traveled to Seattle. So Seattle at the time was the kind of place of innovation. There was a lot of startups coming from it. And he actually started Amazon in that house, in the garage of that house. Now, Jeff didn't have very much money when he first started. He invested all of his money into actually starting the business. And if you can see down there to the left, that was his first desk. Now, just to show you how little money he had when he started it, he couldn't actually afford a desk, so he went to a local DIY shop and actually bought a door. So that is a door on some stilts. And we still, to this day, have an innovation award called the Door Desk Award, which kind of congratulates people for kind of big thinking. This page on the right, and it doesn't even look like a web page nowadays, but it's actually the first Amazon web page. Now, when Amazon started, it wasn't called Amazon, it was called something like Cadabra. They changed the name because they thought it sounded too much like cadaver, which would not be a good connotation at all. But that was the first Amazon web page, and that was in 1994. I mean, actually, when you think about it, that wasn't a huge amount of time ago. And you can see that it's changed quite a lot since. So, when Amazon kicked itself off, Jeff had a vision. And I don't want to talk too much about vision and strategies and all sorts of things like that, but I think this is quite important because it's kind of our mantra as a business. And that is, start with the customer and work backwards. So the way that we look at things is that we think, is this good for the customer? And if it isn't good for the customer, we absolutely don't do it. So Amazon's got quite a lot of things in it which are relatively surprising. If you think we have Marketplace. Now, you guys might not know what Marketplace is at the moment. I'll explain a little bit later on. But basically, what we do is we invite competition onto our platform. So we bring other retailers, other sellers onto the platform to provide competition for us, because we believe that that is the best thing to do for the customer. We also have very candid reviews. Now, if you actually read through some of the stuff that we do at Amazon and some of the reviews that we have, you'll see very positive ones and very negative ones. And we keep all those negative ones on. It's not something that we go, well, because they're not good, we're going to take them off. We want customers to see what products are good and what products are not good. So this builds a long-term relationship. And Amazon is all about long-term relationships. It's not about a transaction. It's not about a single transaction where a customer goes, you know what, this is a fantastic deal, I'm going to buy it and never go back to that retailer again. We want to maintain trust. So we want that customer to come back over and over and over again. And all of our pricing policies, the way that we do things, the way that we actually build the site is all focused around making sure that we start with the customer and work backwards. Bizarrely, when we come up with new innovations, we have this press release process. So if anyone around the business can come up with a new idea, and what they would do is they'll actually write a press release, as in if they were giving it to the customer to advertise what this was going to do for them. They'll then make up various quotes saying, this does this, I had a fantastic time, says Jill from Devon, or whatever it might be, and we will look at it from the customer first. If it's not right for the customer, then it's not right for Amazon. So this is a bit more about the vision. So this little sketch down the bottom was actually, again, drawn by Jeff on a napkin. So he was sat in a little cafeteria and he thought, right, how do I build a model which is going to be a sustainable business model for Amazon? And this is kind of how it worked. So he said, right, we all start with selection. So if we have a lot of selection on site, what happens? It improves the customer experience, because a customer can go on and find whatever they want to find. If the customer experience is good, it drives traffic. Fantastic news. As soon as you get more traffic to a site, more sellers come on board. So sellers, the marketplace, they increase the number of products that we have. So more sellers means more selection. And this is the kind of virtuous cycle of Amazon. So that all drives growth. If we drive growth, we get a lower cost structure. If we've got a lower cost structure, we can pass on lower prices, and that then improves customer experience. So this was the kind of virtuous cycle that was built out of Amazon. And this is now, as I say, this is on every single presentation we have, and it was first drawn exactly the same as this on a napkin by Jeff in a little cafeteria somewhere. Now, the important thing here is as well, so he talks about create strategic long-term vendor relationships. We are not in the business of having short-term relationships which are just, as I say, transactional, both with customers and with vendors. So meetings like this, coming to meet you guys, is very much for us about how we can build a long-term partnership together. So this kind of, again, builds upon the start with the customer and work backwards. Our mission was then to be Earth's most customer-centric company. And we kind of build it on 3 key pillars. So price, selection, convenience. And we believe that if we're right in all of those, and we have everything that we need to meet each one of those promises that we make on price, selection, and convenience, then we are in a good position to satisfy our customers. And you know what? Amazon started as a bookstore. It said on its first webpage, we have 1 million titles. Actually now, we have millions of products and a lot of different categories too. So we're actually, if you look there, 27% of our sales, and this is Q3 2014, so slightly old data, but 27% of our sales are going through media. By far the biggest part, 67%, is actually going through our general merchandise business. So this is a great opportunity. We are an evolving business. We're changing all the time. And categories such as outdoor, such as home and leisure, are really where we see most of our growth coming from. We were talking earlier about the media business and how in the UK media is starting to struggle, especially physical media, as digital is becoming more and more important. So that's a declining part of our business. Absolutely where our growth opportunity is in that 67%. And we're growing very, very quickly. So we've just been 2014 again, we were rated #1 global retail brand and #10 overall most valuable brand. So Jeff has gone from a position in 1994 of being an unknown bookseller in the back of a garage to now having the #1 global retailer brand. Pretty impressive. And also top online retailer as well. So you can see Apple, Staples, Walmart in there. Amazon was also voted #1. And this is a big misconception, right? So Amazon is often seen just as a retailer. We sell a lot of products. But actually, our business is a lot wider than that. One of our biggest growth avenues is Amazon Web Services. So we also own, I can't remember what the exact statistic is, but it's a huge percentage of the overall cloud space that's available. So we kind of run various websites for government organizations, all sorts of stuff like that from around the world. And all the time, we're creating new revenue streams. You might have seen, for instance, Prime Instant Video. Prime Instant Video is a new thing that we've kind of launched in the last year or so. We just won a Grammy Award for one of our kind of original series that's coming through. So Amazon really is, it's a very multifaceted beast. It's not just purely a retailer. Oh, there we go, answer all of the above. If I would have clicked through, I would have seen that. Oh, twice. And this is kind of what success has brought. So 2002, I think that first figure is 3.9 billion. Okay, 3.9 billion is not a small company by any means, especially when you launched in 1994. 2013, 74.5 billion. Actually, 2014, we hit 88 billion. So this company is absolutely flying. And I don't think everything that is going to come is there already. So Amazon Web Services is only just starting, Prime Instant Video, massive new revenue stream. We're piling loads of resource into the retail business as well. So, you know, this is just a consistent growth, and it keeps on going. And the great news is that Amazon's actually outgrowing e-commerce as well. So e-commerce growth there, 12%. We grew 31%. Retail growth at 1%. So straight away, what you can see, or hopefully can see, is that, you know, as an opportunity, in terms of momentum, in terms of where we're going, we're a good business to back as it currently stands. This is also really interesting for you guys. As a global company as well, Amazon is in a lot of different countries and consistently opening new countries as well. So I think the UK there, so Home and Garden launched in, I can't read, is that 2004? Yeah, 2004. But you can see all the way through, there's a couple more in 14 coming there in Italy, Spain and India. And we have a lot of developing, emerging countries, as we say. So our core remains the US or North America, the UK, we've got Germany, and then France, Italy and Spain are relatively small. You've got Japan as a quite established country, and China is also emerging. But within that, there's loads of other stuff. So India, Australia, all sorts of pieces coming through. So very exciting times for us, and offers a great opportunity for you guys as well to expand on a global level. And before I end the kind of piece around the Amazon story and get into the more interesting bit, one of the things that drives Amazon as a business is innovation. And also acquisition. Some of you may recognize the name to the right, and forgive my pronunciation here, Annapurna Labs. Annapurna Labs is, yeah, you got it. Here. Yeah, exactly, which is why I put it in there. So Amazon has just bought a company which is just down the road from here. No one really knows why they bought it, apart from it's a research chip manufacturer, but it's, you know, I mean, it's part of the acquisition. Innovation, you'll have seen the drones. These exciting drones flying around that can drop your parcel off right next to your doorstep. Kindle, I mean, it's hard to imagine that only a couple of years ago, everyone was still reading physical books. Now, if you sit on a tube train in central London, everyone's got a Kindle. These are all innovations that are driven by Amazon. Kiva Systems. And Kiva Systems is actually one of my favourite ones. We've got a video coming up very shortly which will show you exactly what Kiva Systems. I know Jonathan's excited about this. We were talking about it last night. Kiva Systems is a new way that we are going to manage our fulfillment centres going forward. There's a nice video which will show you exactly what that is.
So Amazon isn't just a great strategy, great idea that was created by Jeff, but it's also state-of-the-art fulfillment, because without that, we wouldn't have had half of the customer experience we're actually having. Because customer experience, as we see, comes from people being able to get this instant gratification of seeing a product, clicking on it, and getting it on their doorstep very, very soon, very, very shortly after that, with a close to 100% reliability. To make it all happen, Amazon actually has built out an extremely extensive and very modern distribution network. Across the EU, we have 39 distribution centers that are just owned by Amazon, and a multitude of others that are third-party that we hire, and even more of those that where we operate deliveries from supply locations, supply warehouses, using our systems and our approaches. We stock millions of unique products. You would probably say it's rather tens of millions rather than millions, which probably would be a better figure. Over 260 million of active customer accounts worldwide. And in the video coming up, that number would have been considerably smaller, only because that's the number from a year ago, which gives you an indication of how quickly that number grows. I think in one of the previous meetings, Pete mentioned the figure that in the UK, we have 26 million active customer accounts. That is basically pretty much every single household in the UK would have an account with Amazon that's done at least one purchase in the last year, which gives you an indication of how deep the penetration of Amazon is in everybody's life. Helped by things like Prime, by Prime Video, and obviously by fulfillment like that. We don't just ship in the countries we operate. We ship to basically any location that customer would be located in. We dynamically adjust the messaging we give to the customers by showing how soon the product can get to them. One of the key differentiators that we have from other online retailers is that we do not tell, like most other retailers, when the product will be dispatched. We promise, we give a commitment to when they will receive it. Most of the time when you shop, you say, we can dispatch it today. Don't tell when it's going to turn up. We promise you that it will turn up on that day, sometimes even by a particular hour. Another big point is that Amazon is a truly EU-wide business in the EU. It's not individual countries in the UK, in Germany, in France, etc. Pretty much every warehouse we have in the EU ships to pretty much every country in the EU with a defined delivery promise that by a certain hour, and you can get it by that hour on that particular day, which brings immense capabilities for both customer experience, which is key for us, and for having crazy amounts of selection, because we're not limited to just what we have in the local country. We have provided the same level of reliable service to any customer in the EU. Quite interestingly, I think for Keta, quite relevant, is we continue building up new ways of the structure of our distribution network. For example, the orange dot in Germany is what we call an import flux facility near Düsseldorf. The point of that is precisely to accommodate to the type of business that Keta is, which is set to deliver in containers in big quantities, and ideally in containers that are not mixed products. It's one container of one thing. What it allows us to leverage is one entry point in the EU and distribution to distribution centers in other countries meaning that we keep the product close to the customer, which enables the fastest delivery, but at the same time we do not create unnecessary complexities in terms of either containers with many products on them or expensive deliveries in small quantities to every country on its own. The next thing I want to show is a short video that kind of walks you through what the Amazon fulfillment actually looks like. One of the aspects of it. If we can.
Amazon.co.uk launched in 1998. Today we offer everything from books and electronics to tennis rackets and diamond jewellery. We operate 8 fulfilment centres in the UK alone, and that number is growing. By the end of 2014, we will expand our network by opening 3 more fulfilment centres. Amazon is continually evolving and is a place where motivated employees thrive, and employee ownership and accountability lead to meaningful results. This is a sortable fulfillment centre where orders for sortable items are received and processed. Sortable items are smaller items that weigh under 15 kilograms and can fit in an Amazon tote. The journey of a sortable item through an Amazon fulfillment centre begins when the lorry carrying it reverses into one of our inbound unloading bays. Once safely docked, our inbound team unload the boxes. They first check the box, attach a barcode, and scan the package to register what type of product grouping it comes under. The team open the packages to confirm their contents are correct. They then store the boxes on pallets in the inbound dock. Another member of the inbound team identifies the pallet and transports it to the sortable hall. Clear floor markings make the retrieval of sortable pallets in the fulfillment centre a very simple process. At this point, the receivers take over. The receivers are vital to the sortable process. They ensure all delivered products are in good condition before transporting them to our team of stowers. The receivers work in days facing a belt conveyor. Whilst they work, boxes of sortable items arrive behind their workstations. When they are ready for a new box, they take the next one in line, scan it, and open it up. They remove the individual items, register each one as extra stock on the Amazon database, and place it in a tote. Once a tote is full, they place it on the conveyor in front of them, and it begins its journey to the stores. Stores ensure that hundreds of thousands of sortable items in an Amazon fulfillment centre find suitable locations and are easy to retrieve when an order comes in. At the end of the conveyor, stowers collect trolleys and totes, register them as received, and proceed to the stowing location. Once at the location, they scan the item and stow it ready for picking. This is the end of the stowing process and the beginning of picking. Pickers are crucial for processing sortable items. They set the item on their journey to the customer by selecting it from its stowed location and delivering it to the packers. A picker receives an instruction to collect an item from its current location. They pick the item and scan it to confirm it has been picked. They place it in a tote and return to the conveyor. Then they position it on the conveyor for transportation to the packing area. This is when our packing team gets to work. Packers ensure our sortable items are packed safely, so they arrive with our customers in excellent condition. Sortable packers receive full totes one at a time. They identify the correct packaging before placing the item inside with an invoice and any promotions we have on at the time. They seal the item, size it, and place it on the conveyor for transportation to the outbound dock. On its journey, it goes through the slab, our electronic address printing machine. At the end of the conveyor, a chute is electronically selected for delivery of the package to the correct location. Once there, a member of our outbound team sorts the items into trays and loads them onto the designated block. The sortable item now begins the final leg of its journey. At Amazon, we're customer obsessed. We always think about how we can deliver an exceptional service and experience.
One of the key themes there is
Sorry, do you
yeah.
ever saw a video on two-minute delivery?
not quite yet. We're working on it. It requires a bigger crew to shoot, obviously, because you need two men.
Obviously, they sell you some yellow coats.
One of the key points there, and this was just one aspect of our fulfillment facilities, but it's scalability and reliability of service. As one fact about how scalable it is, during Black Friday, during just one day in the UK, the 8 warehouses we have shipped 5 million items to customers. So basically, almost, well, hopefully will be a million per warehouse, but it's a mind-boggling amount. And because we worry about the customer experience first and foremost, we didn't even hit the point where we had to slow down, because we know others did, and there were constant delivery messages and other retailers saying that we don't really know when it's going to get delivered to you because we're so busy, but we still kept all our promises. The next one is actually a video as well, and this one.
Sorry, David.
Yeah, sorry. This is about the innovation that we do in our fulfillment network, and what it might look tomorrow.
take all day. There's be an easier way. Wish there was just a magic shelf. I could say what I want, and magically appear. I could say software. I could say shoes. DVD. That's something I want to watch. This is great. Shampoo, Big Bob. Hey, more shampoo. Butterscotch chips. This works with everything. How about makeup? This isn't magic. This is real and easy to use. The orange robots deliver shelves of inventory to pick stations. The laser points at the items to pick. The screen tells me how many. Quick scan to confirm, and the bin light indicates which order to put them in.
The Magic Shelf isn't real, but the Kiva mobile fulfillment system is. This order picker has crossed over to a better way to pick, pack, and ship orders. The Kiva system uses autonomous mobile robots to bring movable shelves containing merchandise to the picker, who stays at an ergonomically designed station to fulfill orders. The system is 2 to 4 times more productive than other pick methods, extremely accurate, and exponentially more flexible than traditional automation. Staples, Walgreens, Zappos.com, and other leading companies couldn't find a magic shelf, so they installed the Kiva system. You can too. Unless, of course, you actually have a magic shelf.
So we actually already have an Amazon warehouse that uses the Kiva system in its operation in the US. That was actually one of the factors that enabled us to reduce the turnaround time between when we receive an order from a customer to when we ship it from 1.5 hours to 15 minutes. And that, in turn, enabled us to start doing same-day delivery. If a customer places order by noon, they get it the same day in the evening. And the last thing I wanted to do in this section is I think something that would be extremely relevant for Kata and for the way we do business together. Something that I think works very well with your model as a business, and something that we think is also a way of moving from working as individual countries with you to working as one big customer in the EU and respectively a big customer in the US. Direct imports, something that we develop with a very big focus as a business. I think in 2014, the direct import business for Amazon has grown tenfold, and it continues growing at a very big pace. This is something that again, simplifies distribution. It's something that enables us to take more full containers of one product, distribute them across the EU, and achieve both bigger selection, which spins the flywheel that people were talking about, and increase customer satisfaction, and hopefully drops costs across the supply chain. So something we certainly want to make work. Probably something that should be our focus for next season, and something that we'll want to work with you on. So I'm going to hand back to Pete.
So now getting into the really interesting part. What makes vendors successful on the Amazon platform? So this is going to be a relatively short section before I go into what specifically Keta can do, and we talk a little bit about the Keta business so far. There isn't really any secret to how to be successful on Amazon, but surprisingly, not a huge number of vendors actually do it. And we were talking earlier in the meeting today about how the best vendor relationships work. And actually, you know what? You guys, vendors that we work with, you guys are the experts when it comes to product. We don't know about product. We look after hundreds, millions, hundreds of thousands, millions of products. And the reality is we can't know everything about every single one. In fact, we know very little about any of them, if I'm being 100% honest. What we do know is how to make them work online. and how our site works. And actually the best relationships, the best vendor relationships are where we take your expertise, which is the product knowledge, when things sell, what's going to sell, all of your customer data, and combine them with our knowledge, which is how to make them work on a website. So that's really where the most successful vendors work. There's no secret, right? Full selection on the site. Having a full selection on the site is absolutely key. If you go back to that flywheel, having a selection right at the start of it is key. Drives traffic, drives customer experience, etc., etc. Products are fully available. When products aren't fully available, it has a big impact, not only in terms of customer trust, but also in terms of the search engine as well. So there's various algorithms that will actually push those products further down the listings. We'll go into a bit more detail on that in a bit. Optimized detail pages. So obviously, in exactly the same way that when you guys will build packaging for stores, this is your storefront. This is effectively the page. This is what customers are seeing when they go online. So if you think we've got 26 million active accounts in the UK, a lot of people are going to see your products. If the pages are not optimized as fully as they can be, then potentially those customers are looking on the site and they're not buying that product as a result of whatever it looks like. And we see conversion rates change a lot depending upon how good those detail pages are. One of the big statistics that came out of the US was that actually for every $1 that is spent on the Amazon site, $6 are being spent in store. Now what that means is Amazon is being used as a research tool. Customers are going onto the site, looking at products, and then either buying it on the site, which obviously we hope they do, or alternatively going into store. Now some customers still go into store because obviously they want that comfort of being able to pick up products, especially high ASP products as well. So if customers are using Amazon as a research tool, if you guys are not spending as much money on what your pages look like as you are on your packaging, then potentially you're missing a big trick. And this isn't obviously directed at you guys, this is just in general. It is absolutely vital that what the customer sees and the brand image that you present comes through in the right way. So optimized detail page is very, very important. Prices are competitive, pretty obvious one. And customers are happy. Customers are happy, what I mean there is reviews. We rely very, very heavily on reviews. And you'll see a statistic later on that says that 90% of our customers find reviews useful. So if you're getting good reviews because the product quality is good, whatever it might be, then you're going to sell some stuff. So just before we kind of dived in a little bit more, I wanted to explain the two different elements of Amazon. So I said right at the start that one of the things that we do as a company is we actually invite competition onto the site. So that acts in the marketplace. So marketplace is there to basically expand our selection as much as is possible. Now marketplace sellers range from me setting up a company, sat in my garage with a couple of little boxes, which I'm then sending out to customers, to big retailers who effectively use the Amazon platform to sell their products. What we're talking about today is retail. Now, there's a huge amount of benefit in working through retail. So we take the product into our network, we send it out to the customer. We have all of these marketing levers, we have all of the expertise in site. Marketplace sellers do not get that. So they effectively they use the platform, they act independently on the platform, we have very, very little contact with them. Only the very largest ones do we ever have any contact with. The way to be successful on Amazon and in terms of increased conversion coming through is retail. Retail actually converts 2.1 times better than marketplace. So this is my very as you can tell by the slightly rubbish use of PowerPoint there, this is my Amazon pyramid. The guys in the team always get very sick of me talking about the Amazon pyramid, but it's kind of the best way that I can think of explaining how Amazon works. And the pyramid is basically the Amazon catalog, right? So there are millions and millions of products in the catalog. I said earlier to the guys that if you take the home category, for instance, we have 20 million products in the UK catalog alone. So it's a big, big, big business. Now the problem with that is that it's a very democratic platform. And the way that it decides what is successful on Amazon is based upon customer views. So if a customer sees a product, then it goes further up those search engine listings. So picture the scene. You put a new product in, it's going to start right at the bottom. No one's ever looked at that product. It's not got any sales, it's not got anything. So how do you make it get to the top of the pyramid? And the pyramid basically represents, if you were to type in patio furniture, say, into the search engine, how the results list themselves. So you probably see, if you're a kind of particularly keen customer, you might go through 2, 3, 4 pages of listings. That's probably the top little part of that pyramid. Probably page 10 to about 50 is the middle part. If you're really bored, got loads of time, you might go through those. Then 50 to whatever page it might be is the bottom part. No one is ever going to look through those pages. So unless you're an Apple or whatever it might be, and people are instantly going to go, oh yeah, that's a brand that I know, I'm looking for an iPod. Then obviously you're going to see kind of organic success coming through in Amazon. Otherwise, it's dependent on a few things. First of all, to get from the very bottom bit to the middle part, you need good detail pages. And we'll go into a bit more detail about what a good detail page looks like in a minute. But effectively, if you don't have good detail pages, the system, when you search for something like patio furniture, it picks up everything. So it looks at, does this product have a description? Does it have an image? Does it have any more detail than that? Are there multiple images? Are there videos? All these kind of things. Because the way that it looks at it is it says, is a customer going to be able to make a valid decision or a decision based upon the information they've got correctly? And if it does feel that it can do that, then it will surface it higher up those listings. So number one thing to do, get your detail pages looking as good as they possibly can, because that will instantly move you from the bottom to the middle section. Moving from the middle section to the top, perhaps slightly more difficult. So then it's about traffic. Is your page getting traffic? Now, if there's 10 million items in that particular catalog, you're suddenly in a difficult position. Now, what we can do, as I say, the system is very democratic in the sense that it's decided upon by customers. So if customers are clicking on something, then it will appear near the top of the rankings. If they're not, it absolutely won't. What it doesn't distinguish is whether this is a good product or a bad product necessarily. So it's all down to customer decision making. What we can do is effectively add in various filters which allow or make the likelihood of someone seeing that product far more likely. So we have promotional campaigns, we have lightning deals, we do Vine reviews, we do all sorts of bits and pieces. And we'll go into some of those marketing levers a little bit later on. But effectively, the key to success on Amazon, this might sound very, very stupid, the key to success on Amazon is getting on those first 2, maybe 3 pages. If you're not there, the volume is going to be very difficult to get. And it's a self-fulfilling cycle, right? So once you're there, you're more likely to be seen, so more people are clicking on it. It's a bit like, I always use the top 40. In the UK, we kind of have top 40 songs being played all the time. Once a song gets into the top 40, it gets played over and over and over and over again. And this is exactly the way that the Amazon site works. It's driven by customer demand. So this is a kind of example. I think, did it say patio furniture? Yeah, patio furniture. So in this case, someone's typed in patio furniture. The product that appears at the top of that listing will be the product, for whatever reason, most customers have clicked on. Now, I don't know why in this particular reason, but your secret is to become that #1 product, or at least in that top page. This is about the detail pages. So this is a Kettler parasol. You can see there that there isn't very much for the customer to make any decision on. There's a little picture on the side. This is actually a 3P item, a marketplace item. There's no detail, there's no sizes, there's no nothing. Look, unless you're very, very kind of trusting that it's going to be exactly the product you want, or you've seen it somewhere else, you're not going to buy that product. This is an example of, extra. So it's got sort of more descriptions down there, it gives the customer more information, there's loads of images, there's actually a video implanted in this. It makes perfect sense, right? The likelihood of conversion is a lot higher when you have more information. Exactly the same as packaging. You guys will work for ages and ages and ages creating packaging to give the customer as much information as you can. The detail page is exactly the same thing.
So Ketter's growth with Amazon. We've seen from one of the previous slides how quickly Amazon grows. And that's certainly something that we want to bring to Ketter as well, to allow you to benefit from this growth and grow as quickly as possible with us. And actually, Ketter is already successful with Amazon, not just in the UK, not just in Europe, but across the world. We estimate that in 2014, we've brought $7.7 million of business to Ketter, of which UK was the biggest one, the biggest marketplace, followed by the US, Germany in third place, and then the rest of the marketplaces aren't showing a very big share of that. UK is the biggest, but also the fastest growing. In 2014, it delivered 124% growth year on year. But the interesting point there is that if you look at the overall size of our business, UK is relatively a little bit smaller business than Germany. UK is also much smaller business than the US, which kind of delivers the message that there is a huge opportunity for Ketter to build up the business in other marketplaces as well as the UK, because if we if we were to maintain the shares of business we had, it would have been times more than that. At the moment, our business with you is mainly driven by outdoor storage, so sheds, boxes, and things like that. However, we see it shifting in favor of patio furniture. This is a trend we see across the business as well, and also something that we think can be much bigger with Keta because of the customer reviews we get on your products on patio furniture, and because of the traffic, and we can make it much bigger than it is. If you look at the dynamics, then you'll see that Keta worldwide has grown 87% in 2014 versus 2013, which is a very impressive growth, and I would expect is a growth that would be very difficult to achieve with any other retailer. We've actually added $3.6 million of business to just in 1 year. However, it could have been even bigger, and it could have been even more impressive. One of the biggest things we observed with your business is amount of time we've been out of stock. To an extent, this is because how quickly we've grown, but also because we probably weren't ready to both of us work together and plan in advance to make this growth truth. 33% out of stocks, an average in 2014. At Amazon, we pay lots of attention to what customers see on the pages. We actually track and monitor every single session a customer has, every single time they look at the page, what they see there, what they do next, whether they buy a product. We know very, very precisely if a customer looks at the product page, how likely they are to make a purchase. This also means that we can very, very precisely estimate if a customer looked at the product page and the product was out of stock, how much sales we would have lost because of that. And over 2 years, 2013 and 2014, we estimate we probably lost $5.5 million of sales.
Over or just in England?
Overall in the world. And when I say sales, not customer sales, that's of receipts from Keta into Amazon. Basically, in 2014, we could have been already an $11.5 million business and experiencing doubling growth year on year. The interesting thing about availability on Amazon is that there is more to it, much more to it than the short-term loss of sales. If there was one word, as Pete was showing in the pyramid, if there was one word that describes success in the best way, it would be momentum. Once the product gains the momentum of being available at all times, has good detailed page, has good information and rich content, it basically climbs up a spiral and becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy if you want the success of it. It keeps gaining success. However, if the availability is poor, then Amazon's engines will do everything they can to make sure that customers do not eagerly come to the page and then get disappointed that it's out of stock. So what happens is the products drop in search rankings because we surface products that customers can buy with the best delivery promise. What happens in turn is that it drives even slower traffic, which means we order even less stock from you, which means that again and again and again it goes even further down, and it either means that products in the long term do not gain the customer reviews that would have helped them to gain sales. Also means that at the end of the day, the products that could have been big stars on Amazon just never actually climb to the point where they become the tip of the pyramid.
It's also worth pointing out that we also exclude them from all marketing campaigns, all email drops, everything. We obviously take them out because we want the customer to be able to find products that they can buy straight away. So it's not just a problem, as Anatoly says, of sales falling. It's actually, it causes very long-term damage because it just drops straight down the search rankings. And
also even outside of the website, it's also what the customer perception that accumulates within the consumers. If your out of stocks are in the territory where they are, I think in the UK it was even more than 30%, it would have been about 45%, which means half of the time customers look at any of your products, it's not there. They kind of get used to the fact that they're very rarely available, and it becomes part of their perception of the brand, which is definitely something that something that has long-term effects.
Anatoly, if I can stop you for a minute.
Of course.
Everybody in this audience know it, but we've been called towards 2015 that we didn't prepare enough stock. It's a long story, but we're not going to have, so we are on this flight in
And by the way, that's a combined thing. That's not just you guys. That is, you know, as a business, we are fundamentally we're set up as a business to order little and often. Long lead time ordering is something which we are kind of
learning to do.
With. Yeah. We're learning our way, so we're kind of here as well to see what help we can get in 2015. I know Miriam's been very helpful to push that along, but yeah, it's a big problem for us, and we just wanted to highlight, I suppose, to you guys that it does have an impact outside of just us missing sales. It actually limits our growth long term as well.
give a few months and then we'll.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
The other thing that we found that is an opportunity to gain growth is making packaging as good as possible for e-commerce and make sure that the customers don't experience damages of the products they receive. So Store Out Max is a kind of a case study. It's a bestseller in the UK. It's probably our #1 best-selling storage box of that kind. It's got 43.8% customer contact rate over the past 8 weeks, which basically means that almost half of every customer who bought it tried to contact us about it. So there was some kind of a problem with it. And customer reviews we had it 3.7 stars on average. But the interesting thing about them is that it's not a 3.7 star product. It's not that pretty much every customer rates it 3 or 4 stars, and on average it works out that. We have lots and lots of 5-star reviews when customers got it right and they're really happy with it. And then lots and lots of 1-star reviews where customers got it and it was cracked, it was damaged, something broke off, etc., etc. This is something that can be a huge inhibitor of growth, something that we can actually turn into great success if we can fix this issue and
Win. Win.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Not if we can, win.
Indeed. I like the approach. Customer reviews is everything on Amazon. 90% of customers, I think, take reviews into account when they buy the product. If they see persistent trends in the reviews, then this becomes part of the image of the product as well, as we've seen in some of the reviews. So something we should definitely focus on.
Just a quick question on that.
Yep.
When the customer receives that product, do they receive also a note that says, please call this number, which then directs them to Getter UK?
Yes, they do, which means that these numbers are potentially underinflated, actually.
So you're saying that basically, in addition to contacting our own customer service in the UK,
they contact us.
43.8% also contact us.
Indeed. And actually, one of the customer reviews interestingly said that they think that because Getter puts that leaflet into the packaging, that you expect the product to be damaged. which is a very unexpected conclusion that customers actually come to. But this was what one of the customer reviews actually said. Yes, that's a great point. On top of the contact rates that you will get there, and
saying this, it's like the airline when they put the emergency leaflet.
Yeah.
It's like they expect you to
Yeah.
have an emergency.
Yeah. And even on top of that, Getter range overall is 62% higher customer returns rate than we see in the category. Although I know that a lot of work is going towards sending spare parts to the customers rather than them having to return the whole thing back to the business. So this is also a profitability opportunity for both you and us, because you spend money on spending spare parts to the customers. We ultimately lose money because sales aren't as big as they could have been. And with all these things fixed, we see the future is very, very bright with Getter. If the availability is there and if various other issues are resolved, we think we can be a $14 million business for you in 2015. And that's not even an aggressive growth target. If you look at what we could have been in 2014, that's, I would even say, relatively modest, and it could be more than that. Because, I'm going to repeat myself, but momentum, it helps itself. once we get the period, when we get good operations and good growth, it helps itself become even bigger.
I'm going to whiz through this section because I'm conscious you guys have been sat here for a while. And also, some of it is kind of repetition. It's kind of just re-clarifying what we've been through. But there are various tools that we can use. So one of the big benefits of retail is that we open up a lot of different marketing levers to our vendor partners, which allow them, it doesn't ensure success, but it allows them to be, the likelihood of them being successful to be higher. So we're going to run through a couple of different things that you guys can work with us on. Some of them have costs associated with it, and we'll definitely pick that up with the UK team, but these are the kind of things that we can do which really help filter those products and make it more likely that a customer will be able to find them. As I say, I will skip through some of them because we've actually talked about them in some detail before. This is virtual detailing. So this is basically about your detail pages, making sure they're accurate. Number one thing to do, make sure your detail pages are accurate. We can do all this great work of driving traffic to a page, but if the customer gets there and then suddenly the content's very bad on that page, then the conversion's also going to be bad as well. So these are kind of a checklist. Walk the online floor in exactly the same way as I'm sure you guys go and visit stores, see what the stores look like, go onto your store on Amazon. We do it every morning as well, and basically walk through, see what your products are looking like, see if there's any problems with the description, see if there's any inaccuracy, see if the titles are wrong, the images are wrong, whatever it might be. We're doing it. As I say, you guys as well, we'll send this to you, so don't worry too much about that bit. But you know, it's an important part of working on Amazon and being a successful vendor. This is kind of the in-stock piece. We don't need to go over it again. In-stock is absolutely key. Obviously, if you're not in stock, then, and this is actually about where we extend the lead time. So if we extend the lead time from next day delivery to 3 to 5 weeks or whatever it be, conversion drops through the floor. When it becomes even more serious is when it just says out of stock totally, and then you get that spiral thing happening, which we discussed in the previous slide. Basically, your basic Amazon levers are twofold though, content and traffic. You get your content right, you get the traffic right, and the product should be successful. So great on, I mean, again, relatively basic slide. This is about, if you've got a good experience for the customer, then you're going to drive increased conversion. If you've got increased conversion, your products are going to go further up the sales rankings, and therefore you're going to see increased traffic. Not difficult stuff. So there are two types of detail pages, the basic detail page and the A+ detail page. After all I've eaten at lunch, I'm not sure I could go through the A+ detail page, but I would certainly give it a good go. You can see straight away, I mean, this is supposed to illustrate how different these things are. The A+ detail page looks amazing, the basic detail page looks very basic. So what does this do? Well, first of all, doesn't speak directly to the customer. The customer's sat there, it kind of says, well, I'm an ice cream, that's about it. Actually, you know, some customers are going to go, well, I want something a bit more exciting than just an ice cream, the conversion rate's lower, and actually in terms of search engine optimization, so this listing in terms of the search rankings, also lower as well. Bad news. As soon as this happens, I'll say your product is less likely to be discovered, and if it is discovered, it's less likely to be bought as well. We have an opportunity which is open to retail partners, which is A+ detail pages. So A+ detail pages is basically where you can add a lot more color to the page. So we were talking earlier about various planters and they had special features. This gives vendors the opportunity to actually start pulling some of those features out. It allows the vendor to speak to the customer. So, you know, when you're in store and you kind of have all these great things, you say, I wish the store person would say this. This is actually your opportunity for the store person to say this consistently every single time that you're sat there doing it. So we do a lot of this stuff with electronics products. This is not going to be suitable for everything. If it's a very basic product that you don't need to explain, it's pointless doing it. If it's a more complicated product that has good features and benefits coming through, this is an excellent way of doing things. So this has two impacts. Number one impact, the search engine algorithm picks this up. So as it's going through and it's deciding how it's going to surface product, if it sees an A+ detail page, it says, right, the customer can make a better decision based upon the information that we're going to give him or her. So this will automatically boost you further up the search engine listings. Number two, obviously when they're there, it gives them loads more information, especially if you're making a high price point purchase. You need that confidence that it's going to be a good product. And actually this gives the vendor the opportunity to explain all those features and benefits. And importantly as well, and I don't know if it's going to show it on this particular one. Oh no, next slide. So you can also add things like comparison charts. This is great, right? This is a trade up. This is a kind of good, better, best in action here. So what this allows you to do, if you have a range of products, it might be, I don't know, a patio furniture range that has different versions, you can actually show the customer the different versions and click through to the next page. So straight away, you can have, the customer could click on the most basic product, and actually you have the ability to trade them up because you have these comparison tables coming through. So that's just one of the things. A+ detail pages, absolutely a good thing for you guys to be looking at. Similarly, wow product images. We talked about this a lot downstairs as well. The opportunity to actually sell the product to the customer. Now, we have to have a product image which is basically on a white background as an initial image. But after that, they can be in situ, they can be videos, they can be anything that you want. The more images, the different angles that those products are taken from, the more likely you are to sell those products. Product videos. We've seen downstairs, you guys have got some great product videos. Some of them are already on the site. We need to get as many of those up as is possible, particularly where there's something to explain to the customer. So again, this is all picked up in search engine optimization. As it's going through, these are the products that the search engine is going to be picking up. I don't know what that one is, that just says product videos. Customer reviews, we've kind of talked about this. Customer reviews are really, really important. Now, what we can't do is obviously create loads of customer reviews which make your product look really great. That kind of ruins the purpose of customer reviews. And equally, we will not take down a bad customer review unless it's offensive or whatever it might be. What we can do though is we have an internal, I suppose policy is the wrong word, an internal process called Vine reviews. Now Vine reviews are quite cool. So if you're a Vine reviewer, you have been voted by other reviewers as a useful reviewer. So if you've been on the Amazon site, it said, did you find this review useful? Tick. So if the reviewer gets enough ticks, they can be nominated as a Vine reviewer. So these guys basically sit, they're independent to Amazon, they're normal customers, but customers have found their reviews useful. By the way, David, if I'm taking too much time, just like hurry me along. Okay, good. Quite literally. So these viewers have been voted for by other reviewers. Now, every single month, they get sent a list of products that have been nominated for Vine reviews. When they've been nominated for Vine reviews, they then basically go down that list and choose the products that they are interested in. Now, by choosing the product, they get sent a free one of those products. So the investment from you guys is, it's a free product to the customer. Their guarantee is they then write you a review. Now, people do this on 20 products, 50 products, whatever it might be. So particularly if you're launching a new product, obviously it's relatively cheap, whatever it might be, you send it out to 20 customers, you get 20 reviews straight away. Now that in terms of how much momentum it's going to give you as a start point is vital. But it also does another thing. So we do this a lot with big electrical brands, and quite often they use the research coming back from the customers to change their product before they launch it. So a good example, we had a very well-known vacuum cleaner brand who released a product, going to do a big launch. They did it through Vine review. It came back, the cord was too short. They stopped production. They rebuilt the whole model, put it back into production, and then off it went. Saved themselves what they thought millions and millions of pounds. So these things are really, really useful. Once again.
How does it work? You're giving us a list of these Vine viewers, or we are sending you?
No, so basically we nominate a product for Vine reviews, and then we will send them out to the customer. Yeah, so basically you nominate the products. Any product that you think would be good for a Vine review, send it through to us. I think it costs, is it £500? I can't remember what the price is. We'll talk about that later, but it's relatively small cost, and then we then send it out to the customer. They get the free product. They commit to writing reviews. These guys have got huge amounts of time on their hands because the reviews they do are crazy. This guy here actually did a whole video of him opening up this product. I don't even know what it is. It might be a spirit level or something, but opens up the packaging, reading the instructions. I mean, they put a hell of a lot of effort into making this stuff happen. So these guys are great. And again, the system picks it up. If there's Vine reviews, it knows that the reviews are going to be of good quality. Therefore, it's going to go further up the search rankings. So this is a Vine review program we've just talked about. 90% of customer reviews, you'll have heard that statistic being used a number of times, but you know, they are vitally important and also help aid conversion as well. So, traffic levers. One of the things that we do a lot of is obviously targeted emails, promotions, things like that. So we have a whole team of people whose job it is to basically make sure that the right products are being surfaced to the correct customers. So we have various things. We have marketing campaigns which we'll run with our retail partners, which will be a kind of quarterly, run on a quarterly basis. We'll also take brands and basically push various product ranges so you can get cross sales coming through. Really important for you guys as well, in the sense that you might have a product which is selling particularly well, and actually you've got a range of products which you also want to introduce to the customer. We have various mechanisms that we can use to help you guys surface those products. So straight away, say if a customer had looked at one of your products and bought it, we then surface other products which they might like to buy from the same range. Equally, if they looked at that product and didn't buy it, then we can go, hang on a minute, I saw you were looking at that product, were you interested in it? Here's another range of products. We alert them to price changes, all sorts of stuff like that. But we can be far more targeted than that. So what we quite often do with big electricals brands is actually work with them on product launches. So we will generate whole kind of email campaigns around product launches. This again filters how quickly the customer can actually see those products coming through. It's a big, big opportunity. Promotions. So promotions are a really interesting one. We have two types of promotions. We have the kind of marketing campaign promotions, which are basically those ones where we have a general theme at any given time of the year. And we also have something called lightning deals. Now, lightning deals are probably my favorite mechanic in the whole of the Amazon arsenal. We were talking about these earlier. Basically, lightning deals are very short-term promotions. They'll last from 2 to 4 hours. Really, really short-term. Black Friday, which you'll all be familiar with, is something that's based on lightning deals. So basically, lightning deals are what drive Black Friday. So what basically happens is that we agree up front, we say, right, we're going to do 50 units of this particular product, 100 units, 500 units, whatever it might be. We agree a funding level, so it's a kind of limited investment from you guys, or at least a controlled investment from you guys. And we say, right, we're going to stick it on for 2 to 4 hours. Within that time, customers then start looking at these deal pages. So we surface it in a place called Today's Deals. Now, not something I actually knew before I joined Amazon, but it's got a huge following, huge following. So these guys are clicking on this and it's got a timer on it. So every single product they can see throughout the day is going to be run on a promotion, also has a time next to it. It shows a countdown. So it says, right, it started at 4 hours, you've got an hour and a half left to buy this product. Similarly, it will also then have a tracker saying what percentage of the total volume that we've put forward for promotion has been sold already. So this becomes really interesting. It's a big call to action for customers. So great. Good news, you've sold 50 products of this particular item. So it shoots up, and then you'd expect it to fall straight back down again. So it's been on promotion, it comes off promotion. Because of the way that the search engine works, and this is the way that you can kind of trick it, I suppose, is that when it shoots up, all the system sees is it's suddenly got loads of views. So people have been clicking on it loads and loads of times, they've bought all of them, even if you just sold 50, lots of people have clicked on it. So now, say we've been doing a patio furniture set which someone has promoted. Now what happens is when someone says, right, I'm searching for a patio furniture set, the system goes, okay, well while I'm looking back through all of those other products which are patio furniture sets, I suddenly see this one. This one's been viewed loads of times, so therefore it must be relevant to the customer. So what you tend to see, and this graph doesn't actually show it particularly well, is you have a flat line here. This is its base sales. You then see the big peak, and then it goes back down. But it reaches a higher amount, the base line is actually much higher than it had been previously because it's servicing itself higher in terms of the search engine. One of the bizarre things, I can't remember we said this either in the meetings that we've had earlier on, sometimes Amazon does not reflect your sales profile. And the reason it doesn't reflect the sales profile is not because these are bad products, it's because the customer is not seeing them. So number one most important thing, get your product seen by the customer. These are various other bits we can do. So Amazon merchandise and advertising. We have a huge advertising arm as well within the Amazon business. So we actually work with a lot of advertising companies, with brands, and they create advertising campaigns that are then linked to TV campaigns. Hello. 5 minutes, wow, okay. We'll go through this very, very quickly because there's something I specifically want to talk to you about. Email campaigns we covered, deals and promotions, Amazon Associates, we can cover all of that. Automation, personal, we did a lot of slides, I think it's fair to say. I'll send this stuff to you. I wanted to talk to you about this one specifically. So, one of the things that we have 3 different stages of ways that we can work with suppliers. Number one stage is PSS. PSS is Product Setup Service. So effectively what we do with that is you guys will go, here are a load of products that we want to upload to the site. We will take them, we'll put them on the site, we'll optimize them, etc., etc. So that's stage one. And we do that with a lot of new vendors, both small and large. Stage 2 is PCS, Premium Catalog Services. There we basically look at your entire catalog of products and optimize it as much as possible. So we deduplicate, we give you A+ content, we do all sorts of bits and pieces. I can send you more details on this. The third stage, which we do with some of our biggest vendors, is strategic vendor services. Now this is quite interesting because this basically means that you have what I describe as an implant in the Amazon business. So this person would work for Amazon, but on behalf of you. So basically they know all the levers, they understand how the business works, they have all access to the supply chain systems, the marketing levers, and they all work specifically to make your products work well on the site. We do this with a lot of big brands all across the world. Really, really good way of accelerating the business.
How big you should be in order to get such a reference?
So you could do it now. It's more whether you're willing to make the investment up front, which I need to, again, we'll pick up after this. But I mean, look, this is kind of the optimum for us. If we can give you guys the knowledge of how to make it work, then you've got someone bespoke doing this for you every single day of the week, looking at how to sell your product better on the Amazon website. And taking all of this stuff, and again, we'll drop you some notes, we'll drop you the presentation so you can kind of read back through it and cover some of the bits that we've missed. But yeah, good one. So this is kind of a summary of keys to success. I don't want to go over old ground because I know we've only got a couple of minutes left. But basically it comes down to three main points. Make sure the products are available, make sure that the detail pages are there, utilize the marketing and expertise that the Amazon business has to help your products work. You get those three things right, and there's no reason, especially with a brand as powerful as yours and products as good as yours, that we can't turn that number. I think our last growth was 2016. What could it be? Well, honestly, I think it could be huge. We said 14, 15 million. I mean, I think that's the tip of the iceberg. You look at the German markets, you look at the US markets, you see how big these businesses are, and particularly how, as I say, when we start seeing success come through, that's when we share. Our big blocker at the moment is how we get over the availability piece. Once we've done that, this is going to fly. And I know, we're working about how we do that for 2016. This is a huge opportunity. So I hope that was interesting. I hope I didn't blab on too much. I have a bit of a habit of doing it. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah.
Thank you very much for this very exciting and insightful presentation. The reason why we have now another 5-10 minutes is really to allow questions and answers, so basically a little more of interaction. So maybe
Yeah, perfect.
to start with a question.
I'll say any difficult ones, Anatoly is your man, okay?
We are very shy.
Hopefully it was so comprehensive.
I fed you this one last night. Do you have an answer yet?
only as good as I gave last time round.
So one of the big questions always for us is, as we grow our sales on Amazon, is that coming at the expense of our sales to other big retailers like in the UK, B&Q, or Home Depot,
Yeah.
or whatever? Do you have experience with your vendors where you can actually point to the fact that you don't only take sales from other retailers, you actually grow the whole category?
So, interesting question. And as I say, we did discuss this last night. And I was thinking about this quite carefully. We obviously don't see the sales impact of what we're doing in external retailers, but what we do see is the impact on our internal competitors. So I can, these guys can't, but I basically manage not only the retail businesses, but also the marketplace businesses as well. So what I can see is where we convert a marketplace seller to a retail seller is what happens to their sales line. So what I do know is that by doing some of these things and working with Amazon, there is incrementality there, because what we see is 3P sales carry on as they're doing, and actually the retail sales continue to spike. I guess my kind of answer to that is, seeing as Amazon is being used as a research tool, and this is what we talked about last night, seeing as Amazon is being used as a research tool, can you guys afford not to be pushing business through Amazon? Because effectively what's happening is if people are looking onto the site, then they're using it as a research tool. If there's $1 being spent on the site, $6 being spent in store, then the halo effect of whatever we're doing on Amazon is impacting your overall store sales as well. But it's a really difficult question to answer, and I kind of struggle around how I could go about answering it any better. What I can tell you is that what we do see is where there was a previous business and then we've added business on top of it, there is incrementality there. Because if there wasn't, we wouldn't do it. My responsibility is to look after the entire sales platform. We wouldn't convert businesses unless we saw incrementality there.
I think that some of listening to your presentation, which was very interesting, and And I was thinking that one has one, I mean, not one, everyone that sits here, except maybe from David, who is following you closely for the last.
Yep.
It's a totally different mindset to what we've been doing, me, for the last 35, 36 years.
Yep.
And vice versa, people sit here or 20, 30 years, because suddenly the voice of the customer is not something that is virtual.
Yep.
It's practical. Because we are used to the fact that the voice of the customer, for us, especially the part that comes from Keter exports, is what the buyer says.
Mm-hmm.
Because the buyer says yes, or in or out, or the buyer says you do like this. Here, the customer.
Customer is king, absolutely.
That's, I think, a major, major change in our mindset. And of course, there are the new rules that we have to learn, and not only because of you. You are the leader in this trade,
yep.
But today every brick and mortar partner also has their own activity in e-commerce. We just came back, Miriam and myself, last week, 3 days ago, from the club, the 30 Club of Argos.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you've been to Argos.
I used to work at Argos,
1
yeah.
or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, same stories in the sense that they are moving, they are changing dramatically their mindset, and I work with Argos from day one that Keter started to work. And I think that we have to think in Keter, how do we change our minds or ways of doing business and become more ready to take care of you guys. The other thing I would say is the first time in my life that I have a retailer coming and not begging, but really persuading us how good it is to work with them. Usually it's the other way around. We try to come to customers and tell them how we are good and we would like to work with them, etc. But I think you're doing it from a strength position, and I think that we used to have, I created many, many years ago the idea of a golden customer.
Mm-hmm.
The people that remember, golden customer in Keter used to be a customer who we did $1 million with, and had the potential to do $1 million with. Today, we have customers of $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I feel already that you've jumped in the list to the first page of our customers, and very quickly you can become a very important, one of the top customers that we work with, if we do our part right.
Yeah, look, we're very excited about working with you guys. There we go. Very good. We're very excited about working with you guys, and you know, just to, I was talking to Miri earlier and explaining that we have various pan-EU strategic vendors. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean, and it definitely doesn't in Keter's case, that these are the top 20 in terms of turnover. But these are the guys that we see as the top 20 opportunities within the pan-EU vision. So to name people like Sony, Samsung, whoever it might be on that list, these guys are obviously huge amounts of business with us already. You guys are on that list too, because we really believe that the opportunity here is absolutely vast. And I suppose our slight frustration, and under obviously everything that we've discussed earlier, is that we can see how big this could be as well, even within what we've already done. And I think we're only just scratching the surface.
I have another question.
Yep.
With regards, do you see as major players with you also situation that you have suppliers that are working only through your channel, like only through e-commerce, and they don't bother to work with the newcomers to the industry? Because what we're talking about is we have to be ready to deal with this channel of distribution, because we are used to deal with the normal competitor we have. Suddenly, very quickly, there could come competitors only through the channel, and suddenly they're exposed all over, or products that are specially designed for this channel of distribution.
Yep, and increasingly.
Do you have a situation like this
yeah,
already?
absolutely. So increasingly, we're seeing some of our vendor partners who are built around online and optimizing for online, and they are going after specific online retailers to build their business in that way. I mean, the reason we showed you that relatively long video about our fulfillment network is that, you know, we are very different in the way that we work. Our optimum is for a product to come in, for it to be absolutely ready, the guys pick it up, and that was a very easy supply chain, right? That's not how it normally works. Usually what happens is they pick it up, they go, oh, this isn't packaged correctly, they rip it all up, put it down, have to repackage it, then it goes off to another part of the supply chain. That is our optimum. We want to be in a situation where we can literally grab a product, stick it in a tote, it goes off, it goes to a customer, fantastic news. Actually, most products are not set up like that because they're optimized for being in store. You know, we only require brown box solutions. We don't require loads of packaging. And what we're starting to see is that not only are brands doing this is our in-store packaging, they're also doing e-commerce packaging as well. And I know you guys have been working on some e-commerce packaging too, but there are actually standalone vendors that are coming through that are doing exactly that. And some of our fastest growing vendors are actually in that space. So yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a threat.
You also mentioned that many companies are now trying out their products first on Amazon.
Yes. Yeah, so one of the great things about Amazon, I mean, we talked about 200+ million active customer accounts, is that it's actually relatively cheap advertising for vendors. We obviously have various charges and stuff like that, but reaching that many people so quickly, if you were to do a TV ad or whatever it might be, would cost you a hell of a lot of money. What we've started to see now is that big brands within the UK, and this is happening in Germany, the US, exactly the same thing, they are actually using Amazon as their launch platform. What used to happen was they'd launch it in store, they then a couple of months later go, now we can put it on online. What we're starting to see is that customers are going, or vendors are going, we're going to put it online first, we get a huge reach initially, Amazon's been used as a research tool, which is kind of reinforcing that piece, and then it's then launched in stores at a later date. So a good example, we had Sage, we were talking about Heston Blumenthal. I don't know if you guys know Heston Blumenthal. He's a quite famous chef within the UK. He's a bit crazy, kind of a scientist slash chef, I think is probably the best way of describing him. But he actually launched all of his new kitchen products on the Amazon site. Before he launched them in store, before he launched them anywhere else, he did them in Amazon. And the reason was that they saw the opportunity for it to be a big marketing instrument. And that's effectively what it is. It's a research tool. Customers can find what they want very, very quickly, and we can surface product to customers a lot quicker than you can through TV adverts, radio, and hit more customers as well.
I have one question concerning retail price soft spot. This whole Amazon supply chain is a quite long supply chain and probably adding value to the products. Is there any low retail soft spot you say, okay, here at this retail there's no value added anymore? If I'm looking today on the Keta portfolio, basically we have a portfolio ranging from I would say £2 or £3 retail to £300 retail. So a very wide retail range and very wide price range. So where's really the soft spot between volume and retail here?
Absolutely. I'm going to use the rude word for the guys that were in the meeting earlier. You'll understand in a minute. So I guess we're in exactly the same situation, right? We have products ranging from a few pence all the way up to tens of thousands of pounds. We, as a business, are very aware of the costs that make up moving a product from A to B. You know, one of the reasons Amazon's been so successful is we have, in minute detail, believe me, having worked in a number of other retailers, I know they don't have this much detail. We see how much it costs to move product from A to B, we see how much it costs it to get to the customer, how much it costs to store it, and all of those costs fall into our profit number. So we're very aware about moving stock through very, very quickly. Another reason why kind of long lead time products, big bulk orders are more difficult for us, just because we have that visibility of how much it's costing us. We have various mechanisms in place to ensure that we are making money on products. So there is a natural threshold. We know how much it costs us to get a product from A to B. And we have a process called CRAP. So CRAP stands for can't realize a profit. And effectively it is an automatic threshold that kicks in and says, this product is fundamentally unprofitable for us as a business. Now, we then make a decision. If it's a product which is a key product within a category, whatever it is, we might keep it in. But normally what would happen is that product is pushed out. So we know at what point a product becomes untenable, I suppose, for us to run within the retail platform. We do, however, have a solution for some of those products. So we have something called the add-on program. So basically what happens is as a customer spends a certain amount on the site and adds a certain amount of products to their basket, say it hits £20, we then open up another selection of products to them. So They might be £2, £1, £3, whatever it might be. But suddenly the delivery cost is not all focused in that £2 or £3 product. It's actually spread across the £20 product and the £2 and £3 product, which then makes it a more viable business model for us to push that product through. So we have filters in terms of can we make profit initially, but then obviously as retail prices are moving, market prices are moving, we then have to see whether a product is, we are able to service it and still make money. So yeah, we absolutely have a threshold. In terms of an upper threshold, we haven't found one yet. People put all sorts of stuff on there. I don't know if anyone buys them, but yeah.
Peter, maybe you can elaborate on matching prices policy.
Yeah.
This is something important to explain.
So obviously, and I don't know what the rules are here in Israel, but in the UK, we have to be very careful about talking about retail prices. We deal in cost prices. But what I can tell you is, as a business, we effectively have a position of keeping customer trust. And the way that we keep customer trust is by ensuring that we are competitive with a competitor set. So effectively what happens is we have a group of competitors that will be either big stores that you'll know, big online sites, whatever it might be. And what will happen is that every single day, and sometimes multiple times a day, depending on the volatility or how volatile that product might be, we will have pricing spiders going out. So all of our prices are constantly being matched to the lowest possible offer in those sets of retailers. What that means is that quite often you see our prices fluctuate a lot during the course of the day. What it ensures, however, is that we maintain that customer trust. The customers will come back over and over again. Fundamentally, the way that Amazon works as a system is that we will match competitor prices. Now, obviously, there are instances where we do something different. So we have markdown exactly the same as everyone else. We do promotions, which are external. But what we want to make sure is that when a customer goes to the site, they will always find our price as good as anywhere else they can go about getting it. It's kind of like a John Lewis never knowingly undersold, but on the retail, on the internet, which is kind of as I say, and everyone goes, oh, John Lewis, fantastic news, but their kind of price messaging is exactly the same as ours, i.e. never knowingly undersold. We're the same.
I have a question.
Yes?
How connected are you with the American business? I know you are very much connected inside of European business.
Yep.
How much are you connected and discussing matters retail between the US and Europe?
Honestly, not as connected as we should be, is the answer. We kind of, I think as a business, have become siloed into a European contingent. And as you say, we have very, very close relations with Germany, with France, increasingly with Italy and Spain as they become emerging businesses. It's only probably in the last 6 months that we've properly started engaging with the US. So one of the big problems that we have, or challenges that we have, is that obviously there are a lot of US retailers who go, wow, I've had a really successful time on Amazon in the US. I then want to move to Amazon in the UK. Because of the nature of our model and our kind of reluctance to take big risks on multiple numbers of products. If we're taking in 1,000 products, we don't want to take a risk on each one of those 1,000 products. We have to find some method of allowing these guys to put a distribution center, some third party, whatever it might be, in order to supply us with products. So that's always been a bit of a blocker for us. Increasingly what we're doing though is we're working with the US guys. They obviously have a lot of leverage as well, so they're opening up conversations with various brands. In terms of the processes and ways of doing things, we have a lot of connection. In terms of retail relationships, not as much as we should do, but something that is definitely improving. My German colleague, as I've come out here, has actually gone out to Seattle to do exactly that. And we now have quite regular meetings where we'll actually sit down with our US colleagues and go through a strategy for how we're going to grow the business on a worldwide scale as well. But yeah, I mean, very good in Europe, perhaps not as good as it could be in the US, but certainly a big focus.
Okay, it's 4:30. I think we finished right on time. I think these are the biggest applause for this.
Thanks.